It's Wednesday, you know what that means. It is time for this week's live weekly events from Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. This week we do have the Chinese New Year in the city valid today up until the 29th of January. Happy Year of the Snake. It's the Chinese New Year. The Solar Crown's inviting us to join in the festivities along the streets of Hong Kong Island for the reward, which is the skin for the R35. But what is in store? First of all, peaks and troughs. 4.3 mile circuit race, 3 laps, nighttime, hopefully dry, 100% asphalt, 400 to 800 RP in an open category. We have no restrictions to which car we can use apart from the RP. Very interesting. Moving to the second race, we have got party time. 3 mile sprint, clear, nighttime once again, asphalt once again, hopefully dry once again. And again, we've got the same restrictions, 400 to RP, but no category restricting us in the second race. And the third race just up here, Happy Year of the Snake. 4.2 mile 2 lap circuit race, this time in a stormy night condition, 100% asphalt, and again we have those restrictions of 400 to 800 RP, so we can essentially use whichever cars we want as long as they are no more than 800 RP, no less than 400. Realistically, it looks like we're going to get dominated by hypercars and supercars within these races. My initial thought process went straight to the Celine Edition Alfa Romeo 4C. It's going to get interesting whether or not we can use this, whether or not we can set some competitive times, some interesting times. But one thing I can tell you guys, as you know how I do these videos, I've already done it, and we are in store for possibly the biggest, the best live weekly events. If you guys haven't done these races yet, you're in for a treat. They've pulled out the bag this week. I truly believe that they have absolutely nailed it. The races that are about to come for you guys are absolutely fantastic. We're making a meal of getting to the initial race, but these races are just top tier for TDU. I'm very thrilled with it. I'm very happy with what we managed to do, and I'm actually going to play them more than I normally do. But first of all, we'll start off with that first race, peaks and troughs, 3 lap circuit race, 400 to 800 RP. And for the first race, we're going to keep things open. We're going to use different cars for the races as much as I possibly can. And the first race, we are going to use the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. It feels like it's been a long time since I've been in a Performante. I've done a lot of videos, of course, in this thing because I think it's just OP. And I've tried to keep it off the channel to keep the content as fresh and refreshed as possible. We can see coming off the line there, we're, you know, a little bit behind the pace launching off the line. I have went with semi-slick tyres, you know, giving up a little bit of grip for this one. As we come up this hill, be very cautious. Turn here. Do not cut that turn. Take it from my experience. You will roll the car. And this turn here. Don't cut. You will flip the car. I had to do this race 3 times the first 2 efforts. I rolled the car through both of those corners. Started to get very frustrated with it. I was actually racing up against another opponent who did exactly the same thing. I did it on the first lap, they did it on the second lap. Take caution through those 2 right-handers. But as we can see, it's not the longest of laps that we do have here, around about a 50-second, maybe 55-second lap. We're pushing forward to finish off lap number 1. But for me, the initial race that we have got here, a fantastic circuit that has been put together for this first race of the weekly events. Back into turn number 1, carry as much speed as we can through that, make that corner nice and wide, and try to straight lane this one right up the hill again into those tricky turns. You will bottom out at the start of the hill. The camera will get very confused, but just persist with it, guys, as we come around the first tricky right-hander into the second tricky right-hander, nice and tight to the curb, but not cutting, crucially not cutting. Coming down the hill, dropping a gear as we just take a little bit of air, cut across that corner nice and early, getting the power back down so we can get back up to speed as quickly as possible. It is truly a fantastic circuit here, and I feel I made the right choice using the Lamborghini Huracan. There may be a couple of quicker cars, whether it's the Aventador, maybe some of the hypercars. For me, the right choice was the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. As we can see, it is handling the circuit so far fantastically well. Pushing through lap number 2, we've of course already got ourselves a substantial 11-second lead. Back into turn 1 again, carrying as much speed as we possibly can. Back up into this tricky section once again, bottom out. The camera will have a bit of a shit bit into the right-handers. One last time, guys, do not cut these corners. Turn 3 that would be, and turn 4 I believe that would be. Don't cut them, you will flip the car. Back down the hill once again, like I mentioned previously, drop of gears, we take some air, cut across this corner into second or third gear. Second gear is probably the right choice there in the Huracan. Get the power back down so we can push forward and cross this race out as quick as we possibly can. Again, trying to carry as much speed as we can here. We can cut these initial corners, maybe backing off a little bit coming out of that one so we don't go into the central shrubbery and lose our momentum. But overall, crossing the line with what feels like a very competitive time there in the Huracan Performante. And as we can see, we did cross the line in a competitive time. 2 minutes 43 with a 52-second lap time. Danigel Max and Karakot. That's going to be an issue. Didn't think about that car. The Lotus Evija with a 2 minute 34. That's going to be very hard to beat. I don't think many cars, if any, are going to beat that Evija. Maybe beat the time of Karakot, but I don't think the Evija is going to be beaten around that track. That's not a car I thought about. It's not a car I own. That may be something we have to do going forward, jump into that Evija. But I don't think that that particular car is going to be beaten around that track. That looks to be the right choice for the first race there. But as we've seen, what a fantastic race they put on for race number 1 there. We'll push forward to the second race for today. It is of course going to be that wet race that we were maybe a bit cautious of. But I think it's going to give us a good opportunity. That race, of course, Happy Year of the Snake. 2-lap in stormy conditions, again 400 to 800 RP. And like I mentioned a little earlier, I'm going to try and use different cars throughout the races. It's open to which cars we use for the second race, like we can see, or I hope you guys can see. We're using the Jaguar F-Type SVR. Now this thing here is still built with a full rally off-road tune, but I have got the standard road tyres fitted just for full disclosure. The gearbox in this thing is just ridiculous. It's tuned fantastically well and it's going to handle this race particularly very, very well. Chopping up through the gears, but a lack of delay when switching gears in this thing is going to be the driving force to get a good lap time. Like you can see through the early couple of turns there, it's very, very wet. It's very, very slidey, and the four-wheel drive system of this SVR F-Type is going to handle it fantastically well. A big power slide into the left-hander, cutting across that central reservation, backing off through this right-hander. We can go wide, but we want to stay off that shrubbery in the central reservation once again. We can already see just how well the SVR is handling this little bit, taking out some railings once and twice. They're not going to lose any momentum taking those one out, so don't be scared to cut those corners as we push forward to this left-hander, coming into it a little bit cautiously, touching on these walls. Any more than I just did there, you're going to lose a hell of a lot of momentum, so a little bit of caution coming into those ones. This one here opens up, it's nice and wide, so we can carry momentum, have a little bit of a slide coming through the left-hander as we push up. We are on the wrong side of the track though, into this right-hander. We wanted to be in that left side to open this corner up as wide as we possibly could, but we've made as best of it as we could with the angle that we came into it. A bit much of a power slide coming around that left-hander, the back quarter just touching that wall, but it doesn't seem to have cost us all too much time as we punch this one forward, round the left-hander again, a big power slide, crossing the start-finish line with an 18-second lead in just one lap over the rest of the pack. Getting a little bit out of hand coming around that corner there, just managing to keep the Jaguar in check, but we're doing fantastically well to get the lap time and get the power down in the SVR that we have done so far. Once again, pushing up here, we want to carry as much speed into this left-hander. You can cut this one, maybe lose a little bit of time. I wouldn't cut it personally, but you can cut it again, round the right-hander, carry the speed across the track, carry as much momentum as we can. Getting ready for this little right-hander again. I outbrake myself a little bit here, and we do slide around the barriers, perhaps just taking off a little bit of the edge of that power slide, keeping us out of the wall, around the left-hander, and we prepare once again for the left-hander right here, which we want to be cautious with. Touching those walls, you will kill your momentum. We just clip it, no more. That's alright guys, we've not lost any momentum there. Again, round the left-hander, carry it right across the track, carry our momentum, but once again, we are on the wrong side of the track for this next corner coming up. I want to figure out how I get back over. There's a little gap in the road there. That may just be the route to cut back to the left-hand side to open up that right-hander. And once again, making a little bit of a mess of that left-hander there, coming to the wrong side essentially of the track, trying to get the fastest route to the finish line. But what does feel to be another fast time to cross the line in the F-Type SVR. And a fast time it was indeed. We managed to top the early leaderboard. This is about 3 hours after the live event has went live with a 2 minute 50, a lap time of 1:22. And we actually managed to beat the Lotus Evija that time out. What's that, about a 6-second lead over the rest of the pack. Danijel Max Karakot once again up on that leaderboard. The SVR more than capable of a good lap time on that stormy track that we just had. Then to round us out, of course, we've got one last race, and I expect another howitzer of a race. I already know it's going to be. The first 2 races, I think you guys will quite clearly agree. If you haven't done them already, you're going to be looking forward to doing them. Fantastic selection of races that the game has put together, or the devs have put together rather, for this weekly event. Fantastic choice of races. I take my hat off to them if I was wearing a hat. Yeah, they pulled out the bag this week as yet again I make a meal of actually getting to the race itself. They've pulled out the bag. Fantastic races for race 1 and 2. The third race, Party Time, that 3-mile sprint on a dry 100% asphalt, 400, 800 RP once again is the race restrictions. And for this one, I am going to use the Alfa Romeo 4C, full disclosure. I did this race a few times, I'm going to talk about that towards the end. But we're going to use the 4C. It's not the fastest, it is not the most stable, but it has a big fun factor about it, and I wanted to use it in at least one of the races today. Tried to cut that corner nice and early, underneath that fluoro Huracan there, and uphill. Stop early. Right here, you can cut this corner, save a couple of seconds of your race. I probably didn't do the fastest turn right there, but cut that corner. There's no need to go up to the apex of that hairpin. Cut the corner nice and early, save yourself a few seconds. Coming downhill here, I think we can already see what's going to happen to get the fast lap times, guys. There's going to be a lot of wall riding for this track in particular, and a lot of corner cutting like we're just doing here. It's fine to corner cut, it's fine to wall ride if that's the way you want to race some of these races. I had to think about this whilst doing these races. Is corner cutting just the same as wall riding? Maybe controversial, you guys let me know. For me, I don't like to wall ride. I'm hitting the walls, not in a wall riding sense. I'm hitting the walls due to going into corners too quickly and losing speed. I'm not doing it for to gain any speed on the track. I'm doing it because I'm making mistakes. But cutting corners, is it just as bad? Is it just the same as wall riding? It's an interesting topic. You can let me know in the comment section down below. Back to the race that we've got here, we can see that the 4C is handling the course fairly well. My driving ability perhaps not so much, making a few mistakes on this one. But as we do come towards the last 30% of this race, it gets very interesting. It comes over to this cobblestone surface. Now we can see there has been some spray on the road, so it's not truly a dry track. And maybe the semi-slick tyres I've got fitted isn't the best of choices. Perhaps it's the standard tyres. I didn't test that theory. I stuck with the semi-slicks on the cars that I tested on this race. But we can see is the 4C is more than capable of setting a reasonably good time here, as we do make some more mistakes in this one. Into a tight braking zone, come into that one cautiously. You will catch that wall on the outside and kill all momentum. But once again, we've absolutely blasted through this third and final race for today, achieving, what's that, 1 minute 58, 1 minute 59 in the 4C. So competitive time achieved. We have completed the live weekly events. We have, of course, pushed forward and received that epic reward of the R35 skin for the Nissan GTR Snake in the City. We'll maybe Snake in the City skin. We maybe have a look at that one a little bit later on. But for that third race today, I did actually do it a few times. We can see there was 150 points required for this week, so 5 efforts per race will get you through it nicely. Jagger SVR with a 1 minute 52, but once again that Lotus Evija GR Picovius popping up here with the quickest time in the Evija. I was quite happy with the 1 minute 52 in the SVR, but I think I might have to get that Evija at some point soon and test the theory of just how quick that car is, because it does look to be the OP car for this week's live weekly events. Apart from that wet race, the SVR Jagger F-Type holding up fantastically well for myself. But guys, if you haven't yet done this weekly event, go over and do it. The races are absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely thrilled with what we have. Tons of fun completing that one out before actually starting my work day. And I hope you guys have as much fun doing them as I did. Go on, set some competitive times, let me know what kind of times you did set and what cars you chose for those races. If you made it to the end of today's video, thank you very much. Please comment the word Amber down below, AMBER. Let me know how many of you guys actually got to the end of today's video. It would be fantastic to know before you leave today. Smash that like button, subscribe, tap on the bell, all the usual good stuff. And stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.